Hey guys, welcome back to Fathers Without Fathers. I want to talk about my 11, soon to be 12-year-old, and just a little bit of good news in the last couple of weeks. So my son has been dying to try and get on with a football team, any football team. He just wants to have a team that he can sort of talk about in the schoolyard with his mates. Now, I had him signed up for the Champion Soccer Academy, which is sort of like a professional level training for kids in football. It's a really, really good school. I cannot recommend it enough. It's proper coaching. And what I was looking for in schools is an emphasis on drills and technique, and sort of the classic, almost sort of military discipline style training. I know military is kind of a dirty word these days, but just that precision training I think is really, really important. It's incredibly valuable, and I think a lot of that comes from my martial arts background. Now, I'll talk about the TCSA in a bit. I think it made a massive improvement on him, but he's been dying to just get on a team, play some matches, train with a regular bunch of lads, and have a jersey to wear, fly some colors that he can kind of brag about, which I totally get. So I managed to send some email queries out, and I managed to get a response from a silver ranked team. The club's called Clandarcy, and man, their spaces were full, but the coach was willing to give Connor a try to see if at the very least he could come train with the guys until a spot opened up, right? So man, tryout day approaches, and him and I are both nervous as heck, and it was a big day. So we had about 5 days to train and squeeze in some training, and we spent 5 days training, and good on him, man. He really put in all kinds of crazy effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for those 5 days. And I'll talk a little bit about my role in the training in just a second. But man, he nailed it, and he got on the team, which is amazing. So our next goal after that was to have him perform during practices, so the coach puts him out in the squad a lot earlier than he intended to. And I think that portion of it will be relatively easy for Connor, because out of like maybe more than a dozen, maybe about 20 boys, Connor was performing easily in the top 5, easily. So, he just needs to warm up with the crew, and he'll get there. I'm really, really proud of him. Super, super proud of him. And at the same time, I'm hoping he sees the value of hard work in terms of achieving something he really, really, really wants. In that regard, I also pulled him out of MMA, right? Because at the time, he was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and football, and just sort of getting a feel for all of them. I personally believe every kid needs a martial art, so we will return to that. But I also wanted to teach Connor the value of focus. When you do land on something you're really passionate about and you have some demonstrable skill for, it's good to dial down into it, at least for a little while. So I don't know, I'll give it maybe 3 months where we'll just be football, right? And so in lieu of dropping MMA, we're going to increase our practice sessions in terms of football. Now let's get to the crux of why I wanted to record this. It's just the role I've found as a dad in terms of promoting sport, or getting my guys passionate about their chosen discipline in terms of sport. So prior to this, I put Connor off of football. He just did not want to do it, didn't enjoy it. It didn't even factor into, he easily turned his back on it. And that's because of me. Because I was full bore into the coaching, loads of drills, loads of encouragement, but also loads of criticism as well. And getting him to focus on being the best and all this kind of stuff. And it was just a crazy amount of pressure. And I get it. I responded to pressure when I was a kid. But Connor's very different from me. Now, I'm not talking about, approaching Connor with kid gloves. Because I realized the one essential ingredient that was missing. So for me, I really responded to the rigidity of martial arts training, right? And I really took to it. But I was a fan of martial arts films, martial arts movies. I was a huge Bruce Lee fan. Lacking that initial passion, the training doesn't take a foothold at all. So slowly, Connor found his own way back to football. He discovered a passion on his own, playing with his mates. And he came to me. It's like, Dad, I really want to get on a football team, right? Now, the reason I went with TCSA is, first of all, when your dad pushes you hard, it's a completely different kettle of fish than when a coach does. I see Connor responding to the coaching for the exact same drills and exercise that I tried to push him to. I think just being a dad, there's a lot more going on there, right? And as well, football is not my primary sport, so I recognize the fact that I needed to get some good coaching in place. And yeah, that worked a charm. So it's like he rediscovered football on his own, in his own time, in his own merits. So I'm getting back to the rigidity of discipline, but slowly. I'm turning that volume up slowly. And, gauging how he's responding to it. I know he can handle the discipline because I've seen it out there on the pitch in TCSA. So we're going to amp up the practices at home. But I'm going to ease off on the hard guy a bit and try to promote that passion a little bit more. At the end of the day, we become the best at those things we want to become great at because we enjoy doing them, right? So it's really interesting. I'm thinking back to Bella Karoly. I remember watching a documentary on Nadia Comaneci. For those of you who don't know, is a gold medalist gymnast who scored the first perfect 10 in Olympic history for gymnastics, and her coach was Bella Karoly. So one of the things that I did notice that when she started training with Bella Karoly, what he would do with the gymnasts is they would warm up by having a real fun game of football first. And that got them warmed up, and then they had their they would put on their concentration mask and get right into the drills and things like that. And I think that was quite clever in terms of what Bella Karoly did, because he introduced that sense of fun before diving down into the seriousness of training. And I think unlocking that is what I was missing the first time around when I put Connor off of football. So, note to self, make sure you maintain a heightened level of passion and playfulness before you engage into the militaristic discipline of training and drills and skills, right? So, that's kind of something I've learned along the way. In fact, I think subconsciously, I sort of twigged on that early, because with Noah, I started play fighting with him very, 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 very early. Just play wrestling in the living room and all this kind of stuff. So he's taken to MMA quite a lot easier than perhaps Connor did. And I think it's part and parcel. We have to remember a lot of physical activity is at its heart play, right? So I guess that's one of the things. I was a little bit too hard on Connor in the beginning. I was too much of a soccer mom. And I've since eased back on it and sort of re-emphasized the playfulness and the passion. So yeah, still trying to figure it out. Still don't know if it's the right way to go, but trying to figure it out. Trying to find different angles to sort of promote that sense, that spirit of sportsmanship, and that dedication to training. So we'll see how it goes. Check in with me a few years from now. I'll tell you whether it worked or not. Okay, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later.